Hello everyone! Today I want to review a specific speech by Sharmila Parmenon that was delivered in the Mediterranean Debate Academy 2019 show debate. Sharms was one of the most foundational coaches that I've had in my career, and I've always been inspired by how much he's contributed to debate education, which is why I made this YouTube channel, and I'd highly recommend going over many of her timeless videos online as well. Alright, in this particular round, the motion is as follows. You are a talented person in your early 20s who is about to start their career. You have the choice between a high-profile job in which you will make a lot of money and work a lot of hours, e.g. banking or law at a big firm, and a lower-profile job which pays less but which you are more passionate about, either teaching, working for a charity, or academia. And the motion is this house would choose the job they are passionate about. And so I think this is a great example, a very simple example of emotion wherein there's a clear comparative with possibly different competing interests and goals for the actor. Now, these are the types of motions where deadlocks can be very likely, where one side claims one argument and the other claims a completely diametrically opposing claim. Hence, there's a clear head-to-head run-on between two sides. So for the purposes of this video, I'd recommend that you watch the PM and LO exchange and think about the specific clashes between their arguments with one another. And then observe how Sharms approaches her DPM speech with the specific intent of resolving these clashes. So go ahead and pause the video here and return once you're done. Alright, I'll start first by summarizing the first exchange so we can go immediately into Sharm's speech. Ayala at PM argues that being satisfied and fulfilled with one's job is more important than having more economic wealth. He proceeds to explain that money is not central to an individual's happiness, that the social circles you will develop in a high-profile job are more toxic, and that you will be more likely to regret this decision in the long run for these exact reasons. On the comparative, Tin at LO says that you will likely be disappointed working for your passion, which can contribute to regret, existential anguish, and feelings of wasting time, which could or even feelings of disappointing one's family. Thus, what we can only guarantee at opposition to be important is the amount of money that you can earn from the high-profile job for financial security for yourself and for your family. Now let's pause here and understand this exchange before we move on to Sharms' speech. If you noticed, each side is actually being very charitable to the other. Gov is giving up the benefit of the doubt by saying that working for a high-profile job can sometimes give you temporary happiness, but it's not the same type of fulfillment that you can get if you had more time with your family or if you worked in your passion. On the other hand, opposition is giving the benefit of the doubt to government by saying that you can be very passionate at the beginning, but you won't be able to sustain this passion, and so you might as well use money for your family if that's important for you. So here they actually kind of agree on these social connections that may be important or valuable to a person, because that could also definitely be a goal of the actor in this debate. Now, given this exchange, what one may be tempted to do is let the debate stop here and just keep on pushing by giving more reasons for why you won't be disappointed in your passion, or give more reasons to show why you will be unhappy working in a high-profile job. While this strategy can work, giving more reasons for your respective side, it's kind of got diminishing returns, right? Biting into this exchange can only go so far, and at some point, this disagreement must be resolved through either weighing or through providing an additional characterization that changes the nature of this exchange. So what does Sharms do in her speech? This is what she goes on to say at DPM. In both worlds, there is false advertising. In both worlds, there is boredom. They say they win out because there's money on their side. We say we win out because you have far more control over your time on our side. The long hours and the stress and the anguish of doing something that is for the benefit of someone else is weighed out by our side. So they can't run away from the fact that in their world, even if you are able to provide materially for your kids a bit better, you will still see them once a week, you will not be emotionally present for them, and this experience will be quite empty and hollow. What is she doing here? First, she notices and points out a very important implicit claim from the opposition case, that there is false advertising with one's passion, wherein you want to get in your passion because you think you can change the world, but you will actually end up writing research proposals and it'll all be boring. She neutralizes this false advertising claim by saying that this also exists for the expectations that a retirement fund may give, or the sums of money that one can attain through working in a high-profile job. So this reduces the mutual exclusivity of the harms that are claimed by opposition. But what's more important is that what she's doing here is to point out the oversimplification of the opposition case by saying that, hey, you cannot paint this deadlock as merely one of having bad expectations versus realistic expectations. Instead, she goes on to introduce what the actual deadlock is about. She points out the exclusivity that each side is actually attempting to win on. That opposition is saying that they win because they have more money, and government is attempting to win because they have more control over their time. And specifically, I want you to notice that the way she is framing this deadlock is insanely simple, yet incredibly precise. A while ago, what we had was a deadlock that was kind of riddled with multiple competing layers, which made it very difficult to respond to or break down. You had fulfillment versus disappointment, economic insecurity versus financial security. But at DPM, what we are doing is isolating the most mutually exclusive and guaranteed deadlock, which contributes to these other exchanges, which is money versus control. And then proceed to weigh this out to demonstrate that control is central to the family experience because it is central to a deeper emotional connection, which both sides can agree is important. Now, I want to further prove that and show that this is central to the case that Charms runs in the speech. Later on in the speech, a POI is raised by opposition that brings back the point that regret is again not mutually exclusive, that there will still be disappointment. Instead of going back to the original deadlock on disappointment versus fulfillment, Charms goes on to say the following. A lot of people desire money because it is founded on a promise or a belief that this money will lead to other things later on, like more funds for your retirement or more time with your kids. But that also turns out to be hollow. Now, what is she doing here? A very good strategy here is to break down the explicit mutually exclusive benefit from the other side and demonstrate what their underlying value system actually is. That if they claim money as their benefit, it is only insofar as that money leads to other things that are valuable, like control or more time, which we support. And thus, this is one way to show that, hey, we actually agree on the eventual end goal, and so that is why we must have this as soon as possible now, rather than having to wait for money alone as the only thing we will obsess about. So at the end of this video, the main reason or the main lesson for breaking deadlocks would be to isolate what is mutually exclusive and break down the goals of each team. Deadlocks are only deadlocks if you continue to ram your head to the same argument by repeating the same lines of analysis or providing the same reasons or more reasons for the same arguments over and over again, instead of unpacking what is actually being contested and isolating the essential contentious parts. And that is the skill that I think is a very, very good thing to train, especially if you're a first response or if you're a second speaker. All right, that's it for today's video. Thank you everyone and watching, and hope that you have a great day. Goodbye.